What is up, my grotesque Grinch groupies? I know that's terrible. Give me a break. It's been a while, but I'm back, and hopefully we'll be putting out more episodes quicker. On this episode, Edgegrave Dave reviews a 2022 holiday classic called The Mean One. John Wright talks about Dr. Alvin Lawson, some cryptid stuff, some haunted eBay, and much, much more. So let's string up the lights and get shocked. Sorry.
Do aliens exist, and are they among us? Are weird creatures lurking in the darkness? Do evil entities hide in the shadows of your bedroom while you sleep? Join us as we explore all this and more on the Warped Reality Podcast.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy, Ghost Joe, back with a new episode. Happy holidays to you all. As I said in the intro, I should be putting more episodes out now because I recently had a change in my employment location, which will allow me more time to do this show. So I hope you guys stick around with me and, we'll have a great time. So before we get started, I just wanted to wish a happy Hanukkah to our very own Edgegrave Dave. I hope you and your family had an excellent holiday, my friend. But now, let's get into some paranormal news. So a TikToker named Josh Hope, who is also claimed to be a medium, he posts videos of himself communicating with deceased celebrities via Ghostbox. He claims to have contacted recently deceased Matthew Perry. The clip, which I will put in my show notes, is 25 minutes long, where Hope asks him questions about his passing. After getting verbal permission from Perry, he asks him, "How do you feel?" At which Perry states, "I'm dead. How the hell do you think?" No, I'm just kidding. He said, "Miss slowly. I am homesick." The medium then asks, "What happened to you? Did you have a heart attack?" Perry then replied, "Hitting the balls killed me." I always knew that could kill someone. It hurts like hell. But no. Apparently that's not what he meant. Was that joke too soon? Anyway, he was allegedly found in his backyard after playing a 2-hour game of pickleball. When Hope asked if he had a message for his fans, Perry said, "I will miss them." I'm not sure about if I believe in this whole ghost box thing. Has anyone out there ever had any success with it where you are convinced or that that it actually works? Please email me at ghostjoeny@gmail.com or call 845-600-0744 and let me know, because I'd love to hear about it. And now for some out of this world news. So Congress have just passed legislation a week ago that directs the government to eventually tell the public some of what is known about UFOs or UAPs, but it falls short in some stipulations. A proposal led by Republican Representative from Tennessee, Tim Burchett, was shot down, which would have skipped any review of UFO evidence to order the Department of Defense to declassify records of such nature. They came to the decision that some evidence can be shared with the public, but President Biden has the right to not release it if he feels it could compromise national security. Records whose release would demonstrably and substantially impair the national security of the United States or constitute an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy, for instance, would be exempt from disclosure. Classified records must be periodically reviewed for declassification. So here's another thing where, the government is able to not tell us stuff. Now, I do understand that if it's national security or if it's, possibly enemies and stuff like that, yeah, maybe we shouldn't know everything, right? But it does give them the excuse to, if there are little green men driving around in spaceships, it does give them the excuse to not tell us now. So, yeah, I don't know if it's a win or a loss. I would call it a loss, but what do you guys think? Okay, and now we're going to check in with the horrible, heinous henchman of horror, Edgegrave Dave, with his review on a movie I just watched a couple of days ago called The Mean One. Take it away, Edgegrave.
Horrible reviews with Edgegrave Dave. You're a mean one, Mr. Finch. Last call from Mike Finch.
And when I heard that line, I knew exactly what I was getting into. What I'm talking about, kiddies, is the mean one, because it's time to get into the horror day spirit here with good old Edgegrave Dave on the Warp Reality Podcast. And the movie that we're going to talk about is The Mean One, an interesting little parody of how the Grinch Stole Christmas, sort of, which came out last year on a nice old jolly tip from ours truly, Ghost Joe. So the first thing that I would like to do to wreck the halls and get this going here is mention how last year we were jingling all the way with David Howard Thornton's terrifying performance as Art the Clown in Terrifier 2, a movie that at this stage of the game, kids, needs no introduction. Check out our former reviews of that film, as well as the Monster Mania review episode. It was just a franchise that was created the moment that that sequel hit the ground running. I also had the chance to go back and see both Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2 in theaters as Fandango events, and I got a little gift. If you check out our social media pages, you're going to see that Edgegrave Dave has a poster of Terrifier 3 that was handed out at the beginning of that film's viewing. And that shows a Santa Claus clad Art the Clown with an axe, and that is going to be a Christmas themed movie, which is pretty ironic because last year he had a romp as the Grinch, although, as you're going to see in this review, we can't exactly call him that, and that's part of the humor of this. He's the mean one, and here we go. I'm going to put some coal in your sacks with some cold, hard facts. The Mean One was directed by Stephen Lamort. Screenplay by Flip and Finn Kobler. Story by Stephen Lamort. Based on Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, as if we didn't know that already. Produced by Amy Schumacher, Stephen Lamort, and Martine Millau. Starring David Howard Thornton, Crystal Martin, Chase Mullins, John Bigham, Eric Baker, Flip Kobler, and Amy Schumacher. It's time to head out to Newville. I was totally stoked under a Yule log fire to see this movie when I first heard about it last year, but I really wanted to see it theatrically. And the one mean thing that I can think of while I was getting trampled under Santa's sleigh was I actually could not find this movie theatrically. Not anywhere around here where I'm located in my crypt on the East Coast anyway. This film was actually how streaming stole Christmas. I really don't like to talk about politics too much, but guys, in this day and age, it's coming increasingly more difficult to sort of see these independent films in theaters when they're announced. I did see that it was on Microsoft streaming. I was able to rent it or purchase it on Amazon Prime, but I sort of held out just a little bit thinking that it might come. A movie that comes to mind that I did see last year was Violent Night. While that's not a horror film, that was an excellent sort of in a Die Hard sort of action way with David Harbour as Santa Claus. That was kind of everywhere, and I was excited to see that. But I really thought that after Terrifier 2's impact that it made, that I would have been able to see this movie. But then again, Terrifier 2 as being a phenomenon in itself, with having a limited theatrical release in the beginning, sort of spawned an extended release afterwards with viewings. But I just thought that at this time, coming out in early December last year, I'm like, man, I really want to check this out. But the closest theater that I could find was about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and change from where I lived. And I'm like, man, I just really want to check this out. But I was really fortunate that I was able to find it this year. And then I checked it out. But I'm not screaming that I saw this on streaming because, after all, in the spirit of all things horror, everything is accessible one way or another. So, getting into this movie, I really didn't know what to expect. One of the notions that I had going into this was, you know, And here we go. Spoiler alert. I was thinking about how Jim Carrey portrayed the Grinch in that live action movie that came out in 2002, and how funny that he was, and how it just sort of had the action elements, and just how great that his makeup was and all the special effects. And when I saw the poster of the Mean One and what little preview that I saw, though I do try to go into movies cold when I can, I'm thinking, man, this looks really good. And overall, it definitely had the plot to do so going in. It definitely had the potential. It certainly wasn't a bad movie by any means. But again, and this is on everybody that was introduced to David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. You just can't compare it. It's kind of like when Kane Hodder played Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, you just can't go in thinking that it's Jason. And the reason why I'm saying this is, it just had so much potential to sort of build and sort of that horror Jim Carrey, sort of character. It did a little bit. Scenes that come into mind, there's this great diner scene where he just goes in and, he just takes out everybody. There are these drunken idiots that are all dressed up like Santa Claus, and he impales somebody, puts somebody through a freaking meat grinder, and he even beats up a cake. Yeah, that's an excellent moment. But the plot here really deals about how Cindy, although we can't really call her Cindy Who, and I'll tell you why very, very shortly, she had a very harrowing experience as a child where she saw Santa Claus stealing the presents. And when she got a little bit closer, her mother saw that this wasn't Santa at all. This was a green creature that looked just like the Grinch. And when she tried to stop him, she fell down dead right on a spike. And then many years later, as an adult, when she comes back to Newville, which is their way of saying Whoville, she's trying to put the pieces of her life back together. Nobody's celebrating Christmas. Nobody's even celebrating any holiday whatsoever. One of the other leads is this cop that happens to be Jewish, and there's some Jewish jokes and there's some Hanukkah jokes, which is funny, about how he makes his own matzo ball soup and about how he lights the candles 8 nights a year. I always appreciate stuff like that. Nothing was celebrated when she even first comes to the town. Her father's car was actually pulled over for looking like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You ever see some of those cars like driving down the highway? There's that little nose in the center of it. There's antlers and all that stuff. And they got pulled over for that. When they go in, they want to sort of have that Christmas spirit. They're decorating the house, and he strikes again. And there's sort of this mystery about this Christmas killer that's been happening. And you get little glimpses of where he lives, and there's this flower that grows in the town. And when Cindy goes and she travels to try to get some more information here, you see that there's all these wallets and driver's licenses in this cave in the home where this Grinch creature lives. And he just goes after just about anybody that's trying to be festive in that Christmas spirit. And I definitely see what they were trying to do. It just falls a little short on some of the exploring sort of the horrific humorous parts of the character. There's a little bit of that, like in the restaurant scene that I just mentioned. And there's sort of a lot of like melodrama with sort of B-movie acting that's going back and forth with there's this mayor that's she's just absolutely ridiculous. And no matter what you do, she'll put one of those little pins saying vote for me on there. And they're trying to cover up everything that this creature has done. As a matter of fact, it's so bad that they've been secretly trying to feed this creature victims. And they're doing that just so that the town stays safe. That I found very, very interesting. But really, it sort of strings you along in a little bit of a way where you're just sort of waiting for things to happen. Not a bad movie overall. I was just expecting a little bit more, and the performance of David Howard Thornton was excellent. He certainly did what he could. I mean, he certainly carried this entire film on his back, where after I did go through my review notes, another reviewer actually had said that he carried the film on his back like a sack of presents. And you know what? That's pretty much true. The positives of this film, if you're looking for a horror parody of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, this is it. This is the one and only that I have found, and it's done by a phenomenal actor. You know, there's a lot of moments, and this is one of the main things that I actually wanted to talk about here, guys, where they just try to avoid saying the actual names from Dr. Seuss and stuff like that. And that opening line that I said in the beginning of this review was about, "You're a mean one, mister." And then Finch, Mike Finch, what was so freaking funny about this is they had little moments where they had humor because it sort of is self-aware like that. There's also this character that knows all about this, creature and what's been going on. And his name is Zeus. And somebody says to him, like the god, and he says, "Everybody calls me Doc." Get it? Dr. Zeus, like Doc Zeus. Dr. Seuss? Ah. And then there he goes. "He's a mean one, that mister." And then Finch, last call for Mike Finch. Moments like that, they sort of almost could have built upon more because that was really funny. You have movies like last year, I reviewed Jack Frost, and that was almost full of, and I'm not going to say too many moments, but that movie knew exactly what it was. This movie, they really did drive in the Christmas spirit. They really had sort of a really heartwarming ending. And by heartwarming, you know how the Grinch's heart grew 3 inches bigger that year? Well, fatality. That's all that I'm going to say about that. It's definitely something that is worth seeing. It's definitely something that, if you want to get into the spirit and see a movie of David Howard Thornton, that's not Art the Clown. You could see his other talents in there. I'm going to actually rate this one somewhere between 2 to 3 graves out of 5. Some of you might like it a little bit more than that. Some of you might like it a little bit less than that, but definitely worth checking out. I know that you'll have a feel-good feeling at the end all around, and that is what the holidays are all about. So truly wish everybody out there has a very happy horror days, and we just want to thank you so much for listening and checking out the Warp Reality podcast. I know that Ghost Show appreciates it. I truly do appreciate it. And Edgegrave Dave is going back into the cold crypt that is. Merry horror, everybody, and have a happy new year. Back to you, Ghost Show.
Thanks, Edgegrave, for that awesome review. So I really enjoyed this movie for the campiness and those silly jokes thrown in there. It's no secret that Edgegrave and I have been fanboying over David Howard Thornton for quite some time now, but for great reason. If you haven't seen the Terrifier movies, you really should. They're great slasher movies that really, to me, haven't been great in many years. So definitely check out the Terrifier and definitely check out the Grinch. Well, not the Grinch, excuse me, the mean one. But he definitely did an excellent job in this. His expressions, the makeup, and his brutality definitely did not disappoint. I agree that everyone should check out this movie. It's streaming on Amazon Prime at the moment. So yeah, definitely check it out. I'd also like to do a quick review on another film that I recently saw. It's called Finley, and it's a short horror film that you can watch right now for free on YouTube. It's about 25 minutes long, written and directed by Zachary Thurman, and starring Alexa Lee Fletcher, Brooke Wallace, and Keith Dowsett. It's about a wannabe killer ventriloquist dummy stalking a trio of residents in a newly acquired house. I don't want to give too much away because you really have to see it. It has the scares, the humor, and even a great ending. I'll link the movie in the show notes so you guys could check it out right away, but I highly recommend it. It's only 25 minutes. And I know you'll be thanking me at ghostjoeny@gmail.com after you watch this movie. So please check it out. All right. And now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, a haunted eBay. So the first item that I'd like to talk to you guys about is haunted doll, highly active, paranormal possessed copper kettle jack. And it's rare. Right now, the bid is at $8.99, but you could buy it now for $33.33. And it's coming all the way from Medford, Wisconsin. The shipping also is $11.80. So let's read the description. So this actually comes from like a haunted boutique, spooky gifts place. So, kind of take it with a grain of salt, I guess, So this one says, through our psychic sessions, we were able to generate an AI image of your spirit. This image, the second one listed, is only a digital image and not available physically. The rest of the images are the picture of the spirit vessel. You can request via the contact button for me to send you the file through eBay messages. Most of our negative energy items or darker paranormal objects came from a huge haunted estate sale in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. The deceased was a well-known character in the occult community who was a black magician. He was skilled at summoning satanic, demonic, and other negative entities. He was a powerful manipulator and domination magic practitioner, a genius of esoteric arts. We were given permission to list these items from the family who made us promise to keep their anonymity so that they can move on. Today we present Copper Kettle Jack. As the spirit has told us during many Ouija board sessions, he was originally a human who lived somewhere in North America's Northeast, such as Massachusetts. He has a New England accent when we've caught him speaking. He tells us that he slept with the wife of a mayor in his small town and was put to death immediately, sometime in the early 1800s. He was particularly angry at his treatment, so he came back as a malicious spirit to haunt the town. Eventually, a clergyman put his spirit to rest for a short time, and when he recovered, he was bound to this candle statue. His vessel will come with a candle, so that's nice. Summoning Copper Kettle Jack requires that you light the candle and speak his name 3 times, like Beetlejuice. He isn't malicious anymore. It seems his time in limbo helped him sort his feelings out and calm him down some. He's still a ball of chaos, seeking to play pranks and hide things. He is looking for a patient forever home to adopt him and help him settle out some still raw feelings about his life. Happy haunting. All right, so on to the next item. Authentic demonic possessed Ouija. Now, I know you guys have seen a lot of these Ouija things and a lot of the haunted doll stuff, but that's pretty much all they got, on eBay a lot of times. That and, Dybbuk boxes and stuff like that. But I try and pick out the good ones to tell you guys. So this one is authentic demonic possessed Ouija. Real, satanic, haunted, extremely dangerous. So it's going for $99, and the shipping is $21.55 from Mount Vernon, Texas. And here goes the description. Authentic demonic possessed Ouija. Real, satanic, haunted, extremely dangerous. This is extremely active Ouija board. You can see it in a lot of my YouTube videos. I'm not going to tell you who he is. I've never closed a portal, and I've used it at least 1,000 times. Damn, that's a lot of Ouija sessions, huh? If you want a lot of activity, here you go. Please use caution. Your home will become infested with demons. So just, be careful. but your house is going to be filled with tons of demons, and and you would have spent $100 for that. So thank you, sir. And the last item. Now, I'm not sure if I've done this one yet, because things have been so crazy with me doing this show, with the way my job has been and stuff. So, but even if I had, you're gonna want to hear this one again anyway. So this is a haunted, possessed Gumby bendable figure, 6 inches tall, and his name is Bill. If you guys don't know who Gumby is, it was like this clay animation thing that was on in like the 80s, I think, 80s, 90s. And he also had a little orange horse named Pokey too, which, it was a real silly show, but yeah. So it's going for $16.66. See what he did there? 16.66. Anyway, the shipping is $5.40, and it's coming from Butler, New Jersey. That's not too far from me. I should bid on this bad boy. So the item description is haunted Gumby bendable figure. Okay, his name is Bill, and he likes to jam out to music. He doesn't get grumpy and used to be the life of the party. He says he was a roadie in the 90s in Seattle. He won't tell me for who. He is about 6 inches tall. Please see the photos and feel free to ask questions or send offers. So, would you guys want to spend it is only $16.66. So it is kind of funny. I mean, even if you bid on it and it wasn't haunted at all, I mean, you only lost out on, I guess about $22. So that's not too bad, and it'll be a funny story. And if it is, then, you could hang out with this guy named Bill that was a roadie of Nirvana or Pearl Jam or Soundgarden or somebody like that. So, yeah. So that's my segments of Haunted eBay. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I take no responsibility. Warped Reality Podcast takes no responsibility. If you purchase any of these items and they do or do not do what this description says, if they haunted or not haunted, I take no responsibility. So bid at your own risk. All right. So now we're moving right along. Doug. That's for you, Valenza. Anyway, we're on to some Cryptid Corner. And today we're going to be talking about the Shug Monkey. That's right, the Shug Monkey. The Shug Monkey is a folklore cryptid of Cambridgeshire, UK, with its appearance being described as having jet black, shaggy sheepdog fur with the face of a monkey. It's thought to be a supernatural entity or demonic creature. Sometimes it would shuffle along on its hind legs, and other times it would whiz past people on all fours. They also stated that after dark, local children at the time avoided... Wait, reverse that. After dark, local children at the time... sorry, I'm probably canceled now. Oh, good night, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. After dark, local children at that time avoided its haunt on Slaw Hill. One reported sighting happened in 1992. Brian McDougall was asleep in a tent with his wife Felicity on a summer camping trip to Rendlesham Forest when they were awoken by a noise, a snuffing and grunting coming from outside their tent. So, expecting to see a wild pig or a deer, they quietly crept out. What they saw instead was a huge creature, which they initially thought was a skinny bear, around with a camping kitchen area. When they shone a torch on the beast, it didn't look anything like a bear, but it had long, dark hair covering their whole body, and it was in hunched appearance. It measured around 8 feet tall, long arms, and the face of a snouted monkey like a baboon. Luckily, when they put the flashlight on it, it was turned on it, the creature reared up on its hind legs, growled at them, and then ran off into the trees. When the couple reported the incident to campsite management, they found out that theirs was not the only tale about this, as a lot of similar encounters had been reported over the years. The only other reported shug monkey sighting was in 1956, which was quite some time ago, when a man claimed to have seen a 10-foot long creature that looked like a silverback gorilla in the woods. All right, everybody. So now we're going to do some I read it on Reddit. So this one's actually fairly new on Reddit. And it's posted by Expensive Ask 2160. And it is called "My Friend Came Face to Face with My Doppelganger." I put this story up on the Paranormal thread, but I thought it would be great to be put up here. As the title says, my friend saw my doppelganger back in 2019, and it's still bothering me to this day. I'm curious of other people's thoughts on this experience. Sorry it's a long one, but here it goes. So one day I'm driving to work, and I suddenly start feeling horrible, not physically, but mentally messed up. To give some context, I was going through a really hard time for a few years leading up to this. I wasn't on drugs or drinking or anything, just a lot of bad things kept happening in my life. I start thinking to myself that I felt like my life was cursed. My entire outlook on life suddenly became really bleak, like a black cloud just came over me. I felt angry and distraught out of nowhere. I kept imagining that scene. I think it from The Conjuring or maybe Insidious, where there's this demon that's attached to one of the characters' backs. I felt like something was, by the way, that was Insidious. I felt like something was sucking all the life out of me. I kept thinking, I just don't feel like me right now. That's the best way I can describe it. I decided that I'm just going to keep this feeling to myself because I thought maybe I was on the verge of a mental breakdown and I didn't want anyone to worry. I get to work at my restaurant job and the day is going forward as normal, but I'm still very much in my head. A couple of hours in, I'm standing at the bar talking with my friend who was also my coworker at the time, and we were just chatting. I realized I needed to run to the kitchen to grab something, so I told her I'd be right back. About 5 minutes later, she comes into the kitchen and says to me, "Can I ask you a question? But please don't think I'm weird or crazy." She follows up with, "Do you ever feel like you're not yourself? Like there's someone else with you or inside of you?" I was like, Actually, wait, why are you asking me?" She goes on to tell me that after we finished talking at the bar, she was putting some drinks on her serving tray, and while she was doing that, she looked next to her and saw me standing about 10 feet away from her, smiling. She described the smile as scary and evil. She said it was me, but not me. My face, my clothes, everything was the same, but she said my eyes were dark. I have bright blue eyes, by the way, and the facial expression was not mine. I didn't say anything, I just stared at her. She said she did a double take, and when she looked back, I wasn't standing there anymore, and she could see me through the window into the kitchen, where I actually was the whole time. I know there's no way she could have mistaken me. I've known this girl for years. We used to live together. We did and still do everything together. There was only 3 people working in this tiny restaurant at the time, and we all saw each other every day and looked completely different. There's just no way. I decided I would tell her how I was feeling that morning on my way to work because the timing of this happening was just too weird. After this experience, it happened with the same friend a few months later. She was driving us somewhere and she suddenly turned to me and asked if I was wearing my sunglasses a second ago. No, why? She said that she had turned to look at me and I was staring at her from the passenger seat with the same creepy smile and dark eyes. But no, I'm an anxious passenger. I had been staring straight ahead for pretty much the entire trip. Also, that's weird. Why would I do that? It creeped us both out. Fast forward to now, 2023. I had a reading from a psychic at the beginning of this year. She doesn't know me. She lives in Thailand and I live in the US, but I knew of her through a friend. I've never even spoken to her directly. She sent my reading through my friend. She never asked me any questions and I didn't give her any information about my life or anything like that. I wanted to get a reading because I'm still feeling like my life is cursed. And I was like, F it. Why not? Maybe a reading will help. So many things she said were spot on and so specific to my life. But one of the things she said was that I am being haunted by someone from my past life. It's not necessarily evil, but it's effed up my life to make me pay for my past life. She said that anything I see or hear is 100% real. That freaked me out because I have a lot of weird experiences and I always talk myself out of everything. I hear, see, feel. I'm always looking for the rational explanation because these things scare me. I'm definitely more of a skeptic of the paranormal, but the experience that I've had, especially in the last few years, have started to shift my perspective. I have so many questions. Does anyone have any insight when it comes to doppelgangers? Any similar experience? What does this all mean? Why did it show up to my friend? Is it maybe not a doppelganger, but something else? So yeah, this actually was just posted on Reddit. So if you wanted to find this, I gave you the name and stuff, and I'll link it in the show notes also. If you wanted to comment, to this person, or you had any kind of insight for them, that would probably be very helpful because they do seem very concerned about it. And so that's my I read it on Reddit. So that is going to do it for me, guys. I know I had said earlier in the show that I was going to have this segment with John Wright, the Right Headspace. The show ran kind of long, and I apologize to John, but I am going to put it out as a bonus episode probably next week sometime. And I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you guys had a great holiday. Oh, by the way, please keep a lookout because John and I are going to be doing a live streaming thing probably next week sometime, the end of December. So please keep a lookout for that. We're either going to be streaming it on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, one of those things. I'll keep you guys posted and I'll let you know. We'd love to hear from you if, you wanted to talk about things. And we'll be talking about some paranormal, some UFO stuff. And that's about it. So have a great holiday, everybody. And I will see you guys next time. Later.
Thank you for listening to the Warp Reality Podcast, and thank you to all my guests and contributors that help make this show possible. For more episodes, guest info, social media links, merch, and more, please check out warprealitypodcast.com. If you have a paranormal experience you would like to share, questions, comments, or you'd like to be a guest in the show, please leave me a voicemail at 845-600-0744, or you can email me at ghostjoeny@gmail.com. You can do so anonymously if you'd like. Also, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or warprealitypodcast.com. Have a great night, everyone, and don't forget to change your shorts.